me and Pac went in the studio and did a song together. And then them little dudes.
Outlaws.
Yeah. Oh. They came, like, as soon as we got there, they came up to Pac talking about, Lauryn Hill dissed you, all these.
Big Daddy Kane just dropped a bomb on hip-hop history. And what he said about Jay Z and Tupac has the streets talking non-stop. Now, don't mistake this with some washed-up old-school barbershop gossip. Nah, Kane came with receipts, and what he revealed flips the entire narrative we thought we knew. Let's set the stage. Kane wasn't just part of the scene, he was the architect, especially when it came to Jay Z. Yeah, that's right. Big Daddy Kane was the one who handed Jay his first real break. Way back, Jay was running heavy with Kane, jumping on stage during live sets, spitting raw freestyles that had the whole crowd losing their minds. Kane didn't just co-sign him, he passed him the mic at a time when that meant everything.
Tupac, he really had an issue with Jay Z. He really didn't like him then.
Not at all. I think that if Pac was alive, it would have been a whole different story. And as much money as Jay Z has, he still hasn't accomplished what Tupac accomplished before he was at 25 years old.
Jay wasn't just tagging along. He was holding it down in ciphers while Kane was backstage switching outfits mid-show. It was gritty, it was pure, and it was hungry. But fast forward to when Jay blew up, and guess what? Kane's name started fading, like his role in Jay's rise didn't even exist. And just when you thought that was enough tea, here comes the twist. Kane didn't just bring up Jay Z, he pulled Tupac into the mix too. While Kane was helping Jay make moves across the East Coast, Pac was out west, raising hell, calling out phonies, and setting fire to the fake. And yes, Pac was throwing shots at Jay Z early on, and that smoke, it never truly cleared.
Hold up. Tupac is a lyricist. You know what I'm saying? It's just that he's not one of those lyrical MCs that spit stuff, but his stuff is, he spit deep lyrics that touch your soul.
Tupac was out here fearlessly calling out industry clowns, putting the fakes on blast, and straight up tossing shade at Jay before most folks even realized there was tension. And now, after years of whispers and speculation, Kane's words got the streets buzzing with one big question. What's he really trying to say? Did Jay Z just draw inspiration from Kane and Pac, or did he use them like ladders, climbing to the top and never once looking back to acknowledge who boosted him? Did he borrow their blueprints, remix their styles, and act like he built the whole castle alone? Because that's the kind of heat Kane just unleashed, and social media, yeah, they're on fire right now.
Jay Z, I heard that no one really wanted to sign him when you were shopping him around the record label. Is that true? Yeah. This was, I want to say, I don't know, 90, 91 maybe. Jay, we recorded some songs, probably about 4 or 5 songs on Jay Z, and shopped them to several different record labels, and they all passed.
This all goes back to before Jay Z became a global empire, back when he was just a young, hungry MC trying to catch a break. And who took him on tour during that legendary Chocolate City run? Big Daddy Kane did. He didn't just let Jay jump in for a quick verse. He went all in, pushing Jay's demo tapes, recording tracks, and sending them out to every record label he could get his hands on. But here's where the story turns. Those labels weren't biting. They told Kane straight up, Jay didn't have the sound they were looking for. Still, Kane didn't fold. He believed in Jay, saw that spark in his rapid-fire delivery, the slick charisma, the razor-sharp flow. And the crazy part? All of that felt like a mirror of Kane's own style. Jay's signature vibe, you can hear Kane's DNA in it. But when Jay finally made it big, he barely looked back. Sure, Kane gets a name drop here and there, in an interview, on a talk show, or in his memoir, Decoded. But it's a quick mention, barely a thank you, and that stings deeper than people realize.
Actually having a record deal, do a production deal with someone else, recording, and next thing you know, someone else on the label blew up.
Jay once mentioned learning stage presence from Kane, and that's about it. Just a quick, dry line with zero real credit, no heartfelt acknowledgement, just a brush off, like Kane was some extra in the background of Jay's come-up movie. And yeah, Kane felt that cold shoulder. You could hear it in his interviews. But then came the line that had everyone whispering behind the scenes. In Jay Z's track, Do It Again, he spits, "I've seen the same ish happen to Kane. 3 cuts in your eyebrows trying to wild out." Now, if you know your hip-hop history, you know those 3 eyebrow slits were Big Daddy Kane's signature. That was his iconic look. Nobody rocked it like him. So when Jay dropped that bar, people clocked it immediately. Was that a slick homage or a slick diss? The streets had questions.
You gotta go back to Brooklyn Finest. I was dead set against it. I was telling Jay, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And he was like, why? And I was just like, Big is too strong. I said, but before we take over the world, we gotta take over the West Coast. Before we take over the West Coast, we gotta take over the East Coast. Before we take over the East Coast, we gotta take over New York. Before we take over New York, you gotta take over Brooklyn. And he owns all that. And I was like, not a whack. So I was just like, I was in fear that I was like, yo, you may come off like this little man.
Back in the late 80s and early 90s, Big Daddy Kane was the cool, suave, stylish, lyrical, untouchable. And those 3 eyebrow cuts, they weren't just part of his image, they were his brand. But by the time the late 90s rolled in, the tide started shifting. Kane wasn't topping the charts anymore. The golden era was fading, and a new wave was crashing in. So when Jay Z, his own protege, dropped that line, it hit cold. To some fans, it felt like disrespect, straight up. Even radio royalty Angie Martinez reportedly commented live on air, saying it sounded like a diss. That only fanned the flames. Kane later tried to downplay it, acting like it wasn't that deep. But let's be real. When the guy you handed the mic to throws subtle shade like that, it stings. Especially when you were the one who believed in him when no one else did. Jay always said he studied Kane, watched his every move, soaked up the delivery, admired the way he owned the stage. But when Jay pivoted into his gangster hustler persona, Kane respectfully stepped back and gave him space to grow. That's real love. That's loyalty. And now, after all these years, Kane's finally speaking up, asking the question that's been heavy in the air. Did Jay Z purposely edge him out of the frame?
Yeah, I think Pac was more upset that word was getting back from that the people that did it to him was affiliated one way or another with Biggie, whether it was extorting him or word got back that he was going to do this to Pac. So this is one of the reasons that Pac.
And here's the thing, Kane ain't the only one feeling that way. While Kane was staying quiet, laying low, Tupac was rising, and rising loud. He wasn't just watching the game change, he was calling it out in real time. Pac saw through the industry's smoke and mirrors, the fake friendships, the shady backroom deals, the shifting priorities. He watched hip-hop morph from gritty bars and real stories into a glossy playground of money, power, and image. And who was right in the middle of that shift? Jay Z. While Pac was raging against the machine, Jay was riding the wave. And the contrast, it was impossible to ignore.
Then what Big did, which I was like, that's why Pac was on Jay, because of Brooklyn Finest. If they had twins, probably have 2Pac's. Get it? 2Pac. And Jay's on the record with him. So now he's like, you ain't no like me, Jay Z. Then he start bombing on Jay.
Back in the day, the rumor mill was spinning fast. Whispers on the streets said Jay Z was low-key intimidated by Tupac. Not because Jay lacked skill, not Jay had bars. That was never the issue. But Pac had something else. That wildfire, that unpredictable raw energy you can't manufacture in a studio. When Tupac walked into a room, the whole vibe shifted. His presence was electric, fearless, dangerous, magnetic. And for rising stars like Jay Z, that kind of spotlight, it was a lot. Eventually, the quiet tension between Jay and Pac boiled over. This wasn't industry fluff, this was real beef. Jay started aligning himself more with Biggie, stepping into East Coast solidarity mode and throwing shots back at the West. And then came 1996. Jay dropped Brooklyn's Finest on his Reasonable Doubt album. That track was a statement. Jay and Big, two Bed-Stuy giants going bar for bar. The energy? Unmatched, but also explosive. That collab didn't just shake the game, it poured gasoline on the East versus West fire. Irv Gotti, who was close to Jay at the time, even admitted later that he warned him, "Don't put Biggie on that song." But Jay didn't listen. He was playing chess, not checkers. And that move, it lit the board on fire.
Because before he performed the record, he was like, yo, no disrespect to the dead, but you just can't say whatever.
Oh, so he actually performed it after Pac passed.
Yeah. Yeah, we was at the Apollo. It was, I will say this, if you can find anybody who was at that show, and the Apollo was packed, they will tell you that it was absolutely crazy, the things he was saying. I was like, Lord Jesus. Like, when when you hear something, it's one thing, but then when you hear it performed, it's like, geez. It was super.
The East Coast versus West Coast beef was already a ticking time bomb. And Irv Gotti, he knew that. That's why he warned Jay. This move could spark a war. And guess what? He wasn't wrong. Let's rewind. Pac and Biggie were brothers until everything flipped in 1994 when Tupac got shot 5 times at Quad Studios. After that night, Pac was convinced Big and Diddy knew something was coming and kept their mouths shut. And to Pac, that wasn't just shady, that was betrayal. And once Pac felt crossed, there was no turning back. Biggie always denied any involvement. He stood firm, said he was just as shocked as anyone else. But the damage? Already done. The trust? Gone. What followed was a war that played out in interviews, diss tracks, and videos. Pac and Big weren't just rapping anymore. They were aiming. Then came the street-level story that never made headlines but kept fans whispering. Jay Z was planning to perform in Vegas, but Pac was already there with his crew, and they weren't about to let Jay step on stage. Word is they found out which hotel Jay was staying in, and he straight up refused to leave his room. That concert? Canceled. Jay wasn't coming out until he got the all clear. That fear? It was real. Then Biggie dropped Who Shot Ya, and the whole scene exploded. Even though Big swore it wasn't about Pac, the timing was way too perfect. The track only added fuel to a coast-wide fire. That's exactly why Irv Gotti begged Jay not to release Brooklyn's Finest. He saw the storm coming, but Jay didn't back off. He dropped the track anyway, and that's when the tension blew wide open. On the track, Biggie threw sneaky shade, calling Pac his son and stirring up drama around the Faith Evans rumors. The fans, they caught the subliminals immediately, and Pac, he came swinging. He fired back with no hesitation, calling Jay Z out on tracks like Bomb First, My Second Reply, and F France. This wasn't sneak dissing, this was war. Everybody was waiting for Jay to clap back with his own diss record. But before he could drop anything, the game changed forever. Pac was shot in a drive-by in Vegas just weeks after the tension hit max level. But here's the part most fans never heard. Jay did record a diss track aimed at Pac. It was never released commercially, but insiders say it was scathing, cold-blooded, no punches pulled. Jay allegedly shelved it while Pac was alive, maybe to avoid throwing more gas on the fire. But after Pac's death, Jay took the stage at the Apollo and performed it live. According to DJ Clark Kent, the track was brutal. Jay had been holding that smoke in and he finally let it all out. But it wasn't about closure. It felt like he'd waited for Pac to be gone before airing out the real tension. And that That had people raising eyebrows. Why wait until Pac was gone to throw shots? For years, folks whispered that Jay felt relief when Pac died. Then came a moment that made fans reflect hard. Someone told Jay, "You really stepped into those shoes, man. You came in and you filled them." There was no denying. Big and Pac had the game on lock, and after their deaths, Jay stepped up. But with that rise came pressure, and maybe even a bit of guilt. Jay knew he couldn't outshine that raw, untouchable energy Pac brought. Even Diddy's ex-bodyguard, Gene Deal, claimed that during the Vegas trip, Jay was so rattled by Pac's presence that he refused to leave his hotel room. He even skipped a whole show because Pac and his crew were in the city. The fear wasn't in the music, it was in the streets. To this day, many fans call Jay out for staying silent while Pac was alive and only coming out strong once it felt safe. But here's the next level twist. Jay and his crew were dropping subliminals, hoping Pac would take the bait, and he always did. It was a psychological game. They knew Pac wore his heart on his sleeve, and they used it against him. Insiders in the rap game still say Jay Z was secretly jealous of Pac's raw aura. Jay had the bars, no doubt, but that energy, that soul-shaking, fearless magnetism, Pac had that in his DNA. Pac didn't just rhyme, he made people feel something. Jay felt it, and deep down, he knew he couldn't touch it. Even Nas dropped a bomb in an old interview that still gets people talking. He said Jay once told him straight up, "I'm better than Biggie." Nas was stunned, but Jay didn't stop there. He went on to say Tupac and DMX weren't even real lyricists. Nas told Vibe magazine, "I disagreed. I told him Tupac was the greatest ever, period." That moment said it all. Jay didn't just want to sit at the table with legends. He wanted to erase them, take the crown alone. But that's not the only reason people started whispering that Jay-Z was a snake in the grass. Let's talk about Diddy. Even when whispers started linking Diddy to Pac's murder, Jay stayed close. And once Pac and Biggie were gone, Diddy started hyping Jay as the new torchbearer. Some saw it as a natural passing of the torch. Others, they saw Jay sitting silent, staying clean, and sliding right into the power seat while the legends got taken out. And through all the Diddy drama, Jay never flinched. They stayed tight. Business partners, party appearances, shout-outs. The bond was unshakable until 2023. That's when the Cassie lawsuit rocked the industry, and suddenly Jay caught amnesia, started acting like he barely even knew Diddy. Really, Jay? After all those years? That fast? Come on. And now the world's asking, what's the real story here? Was Jay-Z always just playing chess, moving silently, stacking power, and waiting for the legends to fall? Big Daddy Kane, he's dropping quiet hints of betrayal. Tupac, he screamed his warnings from day one. And Jay, he made the power moves from the shadows. Clean hands, dirty game. Did he just get inspired by the greats, or did he step over them to take the throne? No one's denying Jay has the talent, but more and more OGs are coming out of the woodwork saying Jay's legacy wasn't just built on bars. It was built on silence, strategy, and ice-cold decisions. Loyalty? That might have been the first thing he left behind the moment the spotlight hit. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Was Jay-Z just a mastermind patiently playing the long game? Or did he cross a line with the very people who had his back from day one? Did he really ditch Kane the moment he leveled up? Was he truly afraid of Pac's presence? Or was it all just survival in the cutthroat game of hip-hop? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want more wild stories, deep dives, and real talk from behind the scenes, hit that like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to smash that notification bell so you never miss a drop. Because trust us, this story is just getting started.